Welcome everyone. Persuasive communication is a topic of discussion for this particular presentation. We will try to identify, isolate one methods of communication which is persuasive, getting the other person, getting the other party come to get a concurrent view as that of your own. And that can only happen when we have employed persuasive communication. So let us understand this particular presentation in details. The role of communication in persuasion. Remember, it's an effective communication is important. This is important to ensure that people are swayed away by your thought, your point of view, and your thought process altogether, and they concurrent and they agree to whatever you have stated around it. Remember, it is because about how information is sent, received between people. It is crucial for the working successfully with others. If you are a master of persuasive communication, people are going to be working for you and you are going to be wonderfully successfully in not only managing them, probably motivating them and getting to your goal in a faster pace of time with a lesser utilization of resources. So yes, it maintains a relationship, a healthy relationship that I'm talking about it. It allows accomplishment of tasks while working with individuals and group. It is motivating. It overcomes obstacles as the case might be. It creates a comfortable, trustful, and psychological safe being of an individual. So yes, communications in persuasion is all that we take around it. It becomes very important to display your leadership quality, to display the fact that there is the trust among the people, to display the fact that it is motivating. It embodies the optimum utilizations of resources, and in short, you are being termed as successful. So do's of communication. Now, what are the do's that comes around it that needs to be taken around? So what should be done so that people are persuaded and in a positive fashion, in a constructive way. So first and foremost thing is to validation of each other, recognize them, acknowledge them. Sensitive learning is what we are looking forward towards it, and this is what we should always ensure. Dual perspective. Yes, people might have divergent viewpoint. You need to understand the viewpoint might be divergent, but the end objective remains the same thing, as it is a win-win situation that we all are looking forward to it. So recognize those potential problems, the issues, the concerns of the other fellow. Seek clarification, infrequent interruption that comes around it, compromise, contract. Useful media communication is what we are looking into it, and summarize the concerns from both the partners as the case might be. This is what we are looking for, a communication in persuasion as and when on basis. Now, if we have said about the do's of communication, now let us look at the demerits or the don'ts of communication in persuasion. Now, this is how a communication can lead into a pitfall or detrimental effect if you persuade and over persuade. So disconfirmation of each other's. Now, this is where you don't negate, you don't acknowledge, you don't even factually ascertain that the person, the other viewpoint exists. It is somewhere on the corner as of your attitude is either it is your way or the highway. So there is something called that poor listening skills or preoccupation with yourself. You are self-obsessed, or you are having or suffering, or probably the superiority complex is dominant in you. That is where we need to understand the preoccupation. The cross complaining is where for every issue that you've been raised, you find 10 different others reasons to justify your problem. It is basically hostile mind reading, frequent interruptions, everything is thrown in. There is always a counter proposal to whatever has been stated around, and that is what we should be avoiding it. It is about the usage, or should I say abuses of excessive meta communication that is made on the social platform, on the metaverse, on the online, on your internet, and it is mostly self-servicing or self-summarizing. You have your own agenda which you have already built around it, and you have already decided that nothing but your agenda which needs to see the light of the day. And these are the tones of communication and persuasion as the case might be. So let us understand the verbal communication. If you look into it, there's this particular pic where the gentleman is speaking to a number of audiences. Ensure in verbal communication, the most predominant communication method that we use around the globe. Sometimes we may be required to speak to the audience. The norms of persuading communication of an audience are slightly different from when one is speaking to an individual, from one to one person and from one to many person. There are the norms which are different. So what do we do about effective presentation? Effective engaging an audience is depending on the speaker's ability to sound interesting and convey positive attitude. It is the tempo that the speakers are going to build in around. It is the capturing of eyeballs and the attention of the audience. It is the sole work of the audience's sole work of the speaker, thereby developing a good speaking skills involves in increasing awareness of your voice, of your language. And when I say your language, it is not the verbal and other non-behavioral abilities, but also your body languages and the tone when you speak. And that are the verbal technique that needs to be taken care of with effective persuasion. So let us talk about these four parameters in the rest of the presentation so that you are very enlightened. The four things, if you can improve upon it, yes, persuasive communication will be your domain, things to go around it. We are talking about voice, language, body language, and the tone and the humor. Let us start with the voice. If you look into it, there are only three things as in projection, pace, and modulation for the voice is concerned. Remember, the tool that you are speaking around it, the persuasion that you're going to go for your audiences is nothing but your voice. It is how will you set the pace of your presentation. So let us start with something called projection. Now, what is a projection? It is the volume of your voice. It should be perfectly audible. What should be the language that you're speaking? It should be perfectly understandable. You should ensure what is the role, how you're going to pace the presentation, ask the audience whether they can hear it. So yes, projection is important. Now let us promote to the pace factor. Go slow. At times, the audiences might not be able to comprehend. At times, the audience takes time to warm up to a particular presentation. So make sure that you're not going too fast. Make sure that people can keep up with you. So slow down. Get slow down that people should not get left alone or bored or stop paying attention. So you can use strategic pauses, such as pausing just before an important point in order to emphasize it, as the case might be. Let us go with the next topic called modulation. Yes, what we go around it's a varying of your inflection, your volume, how you change the tone, the pitch of your voice so that it grasp the attention of your audiences, whether you are a natural speaking at a lower or a higher pitch, louder or a softer note, or the variation that you bring to your voice. Is that what is modulation is all about it? Now let us go to the second concepts of language. Language, avoid using technical jargons, avoid using terms that people are not able to comprehend. Speak fluently, speak in a lucid language. If required, you can translate into the vernacular language or the language that the people are quite accustomed to it. Remember, your pitch is not important, your voice is not important, your content is not important. The way you build the bridge between yourself as a presenter and the audience is vital and most important. So use analogies to explain difficult concepts and ideas. Give pictographical representation if required. Give a media presentation so that people are able to relate to what else exactly you are telling to them. So yes, language is important. and the language should be at the level of the audience, and the language that you not it should not be at your level, because that two levels might differ and there might be a gap. So let us bog down to all the gaps that can be covered about, and that can only be done if your language is lucid and an easy flow. Let us come to the body language as such. Yes, I have deliberately put a pic wherein the face is missing, but probably everything that comes around is the body language. If you see, this is the body language of a person who is completely crossed, completely closed. So body language is very important. When you are talking to an audience, you're talking to an individual, develop an eye contact with your audience, use gestures to emphasize the point, keep your audience attention focused completely, stand up. It keeps your audience absolutely on the tenterhook. You remember to walk around, keep your audiences so that they are not getting fixated to any of the scenarios. Ensure that they are changing their body posture every now and then, and thus probably allowing blood to circulate and their attention to be there at your point. Relax, be conscious of your body postures throughout the session. Smile, laugh. It engages your audiences and makes you more approachable, and that is what we are looking into it. So let us go with the tone and the humor. Yes, what is it? Nothing can beat a humor. If you have it with it, you are exactly bonding with your audience. Use your tone to convey an infectious enthusiasm for the topic. Be positive, be upbeat, and don't harp on the negativities or the difficulties that has been bogging down. And I believe everybody goes through an upstream and a downstream, or upturn or downturn in their life and their career in the time of the comes. So let us not harp on the negativities, but probably project the positivities around. Incorporate humor into your discussion. That will help you to build rapport with your audiences is what it counts for being an effective presenter. So let us understand with the communication process, how does it goes around it. Remember, first and foremost is to focus on the overall communication system. Manage your time. Manage your time effectively. Ensure that people are not getting bored. Switch from one topic to another topic. Remember, people should be not only physically present but also psychologically with you. Be flexible, be attentive, use bracketing to keep the discussion focused. Make work in silos and ensure that all your audiences are engaged in. Remember, at the end of the day, it is a win-win situation that we are all aspiring for. You need to have the dignity to ensure that everybody present in this room would be acknowledged, duly done there, and things like that. So grant forgiveness, put aside your own needs if possible, show grace when appropriate at the point of time, appreciate everyone. Now, these are the few points that needs to be taken into consideration for making a wonderful persuasive communication in force, in tandem with one another, and that is what we are aspiring for. So let us understand the delivery part, the delivery of a persuasion speech altogether. It is all about positivities and not of negativities. In case if you look into the pic that I've already shown to you, there are basically two ways to ensure that the person is working as per your plan. One might be a persuasive pitch that you want to deliver, or a negative pitch that you want to play around it. It's the threatening situation which might, I don't say it might not, which might comply, which might be complying the other person, but for how long is a question that needs to be debated upon. But being a positive person, if you ensure your pitch is right, direct, pinpointed, people will not only comply but ensure there is a sense of respect for you that will never be compromised. So let us go by one. Be supportive as far as positive delivery is concerned. The persuasive pitch is delivered in a non-threatening and an encouraging fashion. You should be helpful. The persuasion pitch is meant to be of value of the other person. It is a descriptive. The persuasion pitch focuses on the behavior that can be managed, that can be ensured, This should be sensitive. Remember, persuasion pitch takes into consideration of the other people and is sensitive to their needs. Considerate. The persuasion pitch is intended not to insult or demean. Direct. The persuasion piece is focused to be clear. There are no ambiguities left. There are nothing which can be felt or read in between the lines. The healthy timings the persuasion pitch is given at a most opportune time. Thoughtfulness. The persuasion pitch is well placed, thought out rather than impulsive. Being specific is what we are looking into it. So this is all about the positivity. Now let us talk about the negative persuasion pitch. For this particular slide, before we wind up the art of communication and the art of persuasive communication in particular. So the last slide for the day, if I may say so, and this particular presentation is the negativity that comes around it. Negative pitch is are all indirect and ideas are not addressed directly. It is being pitched in a different fashion or in a vague fashion. It is the persuasion pitch are at a broader issues and they are not pinpointing the issues what is going wrong. Insensitive such persuasion pitch has little concern for the needs or the requirement of the other people. Probably you are brushing in a wrong way the egos of the other person. It is almost like an attacking. It is almost like an insulting, aggressive when focusing on the weaknesses of the other person. Being disrespectful is what I've said. The usage of word of insulting. It can be disrespectful. It can be insulting. It can be poor timing also. Probably you're doing it in front of the people the person actually values or opinion that is the image of the person might be depreciated, and that is what we are looking forward to it. This is what we should be avoiding in the first place. So don't be judgmental. Perception prejudices judges personality rather than the behavior. It is selfish in orientation. So I have discussed with you the positive delivery, the negative delivery as for the persuasion pitch is concerned. I have told you about the four parameters of the voice, the tone, the behavior, the language that comes around it. As persuasion communication is concerned, if you can follow the dictates that has been mentioned in this particular presentation, I am sure you are going to be a wonderful communicator. In fact, this would be the foundation step for you to become an acceptable leadership position in due courses of time in your organization. With these parting thoughts, I am finishing this particular presentation. Thank you for watching this video.